I guess this is the last session of the day, so we're the ones standing between you guys and beers, so we'll try and make it quick. But I'm really happy to be here because we've had such a great day talking about esports, the science of esports, all these sorts of things, and I really think it's just such an exciting experience to be up here to talk about what esports brings to accessibility, what the future of esports might be in terms of allowing people who ordinarily haven't had a seat at the table to, in regular sports, to have a seat at the table. And so I'm really excited to be here to be discussing that. I figure we should go down the line and introduce ourselves. I'll start. My name's David Petrino. I'm the director of a place called the Abilities Research Center, which is out of Mount Sinai. To sort of put it in a nutshell, what we do is we use technology to make people better. And that could be working with high-performance athletes. We work with NBA teams, Olympians, Red Bull-sponsored athletes, everyone on one side of the performance spectrum, all the way through to individuals living with ALS who are bedridden and can only move their eyes, and we're trying to come up with accessibility solutions for them. So I love my job because I just get to play with toys all day long, basically, and then we try to get them into the hands of people who want to use them as quickly as humanly possible. I have been working with gaming as a rehab tool for since about 2007, when we were working with kids with cerebral palsy and the Nintendo Wii. Around 6 months ago, I started working with a couple of the guys up on stage here, with the intent of not working on gaming for rehab, but actually working on getting these guys to be competitive esports athletes. And maybe we'll talk a little bit about that today, but I'll move it on to Blake.
Hi, my name is Blake Hunt. I'm one of 8 of Quad Gods. Some of our friends can't be here right now. This all came about from a friend of ours who passed away right as this all got started. So this is, I'm hoping, well, I ain't gonna be hoping because I don't plan on really losing that much. But I mean, I'm sure we're gonna represent him and make him proud because this is a dream of his. And if it wasn't for him, none of us would technically be sitting here right now. So I just want to take the time out and tell him, thank you.
And I'll say he is already an esports athlete because, as Potter mentioned earlier, they all think they're great, right? And so he's already there, you guys. Yeah? But hi, my name's Erin Mustin first. I'm an occupational therapist. I work at Craig Hospital in Denver, Colorado, which makes me look a little funny up on stage here as a therapist. But I work in assistive technology. And what that traditionally means is similar to what you said earlier, is I help match my patients to technology that allows them to do whatever is important, right? Our hospital treats only people who've had a brain injury or a spinal cord injury. And traditionally, we looked at things like phone and computers and smart home, or even the technology that comes in wheelchairs and how that can interface with the things people do. But my journey to gaming about 5 years ago, 4.5 years ago, after I'd gotten to Craig, I realized we didn't have any tools to address gaming. We didn't have ways to help our patients get back to gaming. And we do so many wonderful things there. It just seemed like this was the natural progression. So I started our adaptive gaming program. We are 4 years strong. During that process, we actually were fortunate to consult with Microsoft on the creation and the testing of the Xbox Adaptive Controller, which was huge to be able to inform the design of an accessibility tool at that level. So.
My name is Richard Jacobs, and I'm a member of the Quad Guards team as well. I found out about it through a friend of mine that was telling me about the fact that they was trying to set up a team that's going to be basically a quad-based team where we was going to try to get everybody built up and ready to be competitive game players. So once they introduced me to the team, and I found out about what was going on, and I'm already a gamer anyway. Like, I've been a gamer since I was a little kid, so once I heard them saying that they was getting a team together and everybody was going to be playing the game, like, I was already sold. So I'm just happy that I was able to be a part of everything that's going on right now. So, thank you for having us.
So I think by way of a little bit of introduction as well, to sort of put it out there who the Quad Gods are and how they started. So, Erin and I, we've been working in gamified rehabilitation for a little while, and we've both been struck by how powerful gaming can be as a way of getting people to exercise, getting people to relearn motor tasks that they needed to. For me, the real eureka moment in that space was the fact that I was working in neuro rehab as a PT for a really long time, and someone has a stroke, right? And they've got a hand that looks like this, and we're trying to get them to open their hand and move their wrist and get this movement back. And I wouldn't say it's every rehab location, but I would say on the average, if you're somewhere in America, the average care that you get is a PT or an OT that looks pretty disinterested in what's going on, walks up to you and says, yeah, we're going to get lots of repetitions out of you, 200 repetitions, 300 repetitions. I want you to do this movement over and over again. And yep, that's it, good. I'm going to go walk over here now because I don't want to fucking watch you do 200 or 300 repetitions of a movement. Right. That's boring. Right. I'm going to go over there. But you just keep doing that. Do it at home.
Go home and do it.
I won't check in on you, but I'll know if you're not doing it. Trust me. And that is the sort of standard of rehab. Then I started working with high-performance athletes, and the difference was astounding. We surround these guys with a team. We have nutritionists, psychologists. We have strength and conditioning coaches making every repetition of every movement fun and engaging and exciting and interesting. And these people work 6 hours, 8 hours a day. They work 6 days a week. And still, the improvements that they get are incremental. They're not making these massive leaps. With that dosage of therapy, they're slowly making themselves better and better over time. I started thinking about that, and I was like, well, shit. It's a miracle that people actually get better in the first place. If that's what we're offering people, that's wild. So then, of course, the question became, well, how do we deliver this dosage of therapy to people in a way that's cost effective? And gaming seemed to be such an obvious solution to that. I mean, everyone can get an Xbox. It's accessible. You can buy it on Amazon. You can buy it on Best Buy. And we can deploy these sorts of gaming solutions. They're engaging. We get people, you have to drag kids away from from the Xbox, not force them to play the Xbox. So it seemed like a real natural solution. But one of the things that I really didn't anticipate or see coming was some of the other benefits of gaming. And I'd love to hear from Blake and Richard about this. But the way the Quad Gods started, as Blake said, was a friend of ours who recently passed, Chris, came to see me, and he was a C3 spinal cord injury, so which means he couldn't move his arms or his legs, and he was having a real tough time with adjusting. And someone mentioned my lab and said, why don't you just go and see David and see what you can do? And this guy shows up and says, I got to do something. I don't know what, but I've just got to feel useful. I've got to feel needed. I'm just tired of being in this chair, not doing anything. And what do you do with a situation like that? I said, come work in my lab. I don't know what you can do, but let's work it out. And I literally sat with him and said, what do you like to do? Tell me what you like. And he's like, well, I like to design things, and then my friends build it for me. I've got some frogs. I'm into frogs. I was like, okay, weird, but not, not what we need right now. And then he's like, gaming. I love gaming. And I was like, all right, show me. And he pulls out a quad stick. So this device, for those of you who don't know, you can move a joystick around with your chin. You've got some sort of sip and puff options around your mouth. And he plugs this into an Xbox that we've got in the lab, and he proceeds to kick my ass at 2K. Because he's good at it, I wasn't, this is not, shamefully not a situation where I'm letting Chris win. He's kicking my ass and I'm getting pissed. And And I said, all right, well, we need to make a team. We're going to make a team, and it's going to be made up of quads. We made that choice pretty early on. There were a couple of paras that wanted in. These guys were like, fuck no.
Well, it's a love-hate. It's a love-hate thing.
What did you say, Richard? They can be your water boy. Was that?
Yeah, right. The team always need a water boy. Yeah.
But I've talked enough. But what I really want to throw out to Blake and Richard is this. I personally, what I saw was, I had always just worn my therapy cap and thought, this is good therapy, but because of the very direct things, you're practicing things, you're doing stuff, and as the quad guards started to form and this little community built, I started to see a lot of people coming out of their shells, a lot of people like Sergio, who doesn't leave the house much, coming out with real hope in his eyes.
Yeah.
And I just would love to hear from you guys about what this sort of thing means to you.
For me, the work that's going on right now with the quad guards and everything that's happening is extremely important, just for simply exactly what he just said. Like, you could have somebody where, they felt like all hope was gone, they didn't have nowhere else they could go or nothing that they could be useful to or for. That where now, they could feel like they're part of something, and they could feel like they're part of a team and they need it. Like that's important for people to have, because, times where you just feel like you alone, that's dangerous. It can get dangerous. So, like for instance with Sergio, he's basically, like I say, he's a part of the team, but he do all the art for us. And he's basically like, he's paralyzed from the neck down. He does everything. He does stick art, right?
Yeah, so he holds a stick, in his mouth and he paints with his mouth.
He created the Quad Guards logo, where we came up with the name for the team, and we just shot some ideas out to him, and he painted something up and fixed it, and we got it straightened out. But those little things right there, like, made him feel like just that, like, gave him a purpose. Like, okay, just for him to go home and work on that, and it made him feel like he's a part of what we got going on, which he is. It's not just that he feel like he is a part of what's happening. So, similar to me, like, I felt the same way. After an injury like this, you might, I can't speak for everybody, but for me personally, being that I did a lot of work with my hands and I was a real physical person, because of the fact that the injury kind of took that part away, to where now, it felt like I didn't have nothing where I could be useful. I didn't have no, significance in life. So once I was introduced to the team, and like I said, gaming always been a big part of my life anyway. So once I was introduced to the team, and it like give you that sense of being a part of something and being important to a team or to anybody in general. And, feeling like you could put your input in it and it's being valued, what you're saying is being valued, and everybody working together, and you get to build these these relationships, and it's important all around. It's not just about playing the game. It's important all around. Physically, mentally, emotionally is a big thing.
Erin, do you want to?
Sorry,
Blake.
Go right ahead, Blake, and then I'll jump in. How's that?
I was gonna say that I've always been a competitive child. I actually ended up in a wheelchair because I broke my neck in high school playing football. So it was a rather dirty play or whatever. But so originally, gaming for me was always something I did to like de-stress myself from practice. But even my cousin tried to get me to play originally when I woke up from my coma. I couldn't do so. It angered me a lot because as a quad, you don't have 5-finger dexterity at all. So it really angered me at first. So I kind of like stayed away from video games for a long time, and I but then something my father said to me was like, if you like games and it helps you, then redirect it with something else. So then I put chess there as a way to distract me from being in where I was at, and because it's still competitive, and I was still kicking ass. So, and my 8 months at Mount Sinai, that's what I did. I had CNAs come in to play against me, people from other hospitals wanted to come play, all of which probably still mad, but it is what it is. But I found that gaming, it was very important. It wasn't until I went to the nursing home that and Black Ops 2 came out, that I was like, I want to play Black Ops. So I bought me a PlayStation 4, or 3 at the time, excuse me, or was it 2, whatever. I have a regular controller, and me and my friend, we ran rounds and rounds of Black Ops, all with me learning how to manipulate the controller without using my fingers. So everything I did was with my wrist. To this day, people don't believe that I'm disabled. I play online all the time, and people don't know I'm disabled unless I tell them. So for all of those who's watching, I told you so. So, I found that this is very important. It's for people who've never played the game before, like a couple of our teammates have never played the game before since they've been hurt. This is very liberating for them. And I have a friend right now who literally Instagrammed me and was like, I can't wait to really be able to play a game again. And I told him, when we get ourselves established, you'll be the first person I help. Because it's all about empowering each other. We're not just doing this for ourselves. This is big for us, even though we've been blessed to have this opportunity. But with gaming, it eliminates the limitations. If you have the right technology and the right adaptive equipment, we could be just as competitive, if not better, than those counterparts who are able-bodied. The fact that we are limited should not limit us from being able to compete at a high level. So, just a quick pro quo real quick. I take pride in certain things that I do. I play Call of Duty League Play a lot. I didn't really like multiplayer so much because you had a lot of campers and things like that. So my KD was always 0.75. It wasn't until Black Ops 3 came out that I really got my KD to 2.5. So for me, that is an accomplishment, and that is with me learning how to adjust. I can't strife up and down, but if I strife sideways when you're running sideways, I can still kill you. So that was just me learning how to adjust because I had to take my limitations and use them to my benefit. So I'm hoping that with us and Xbox and with the adaptive controller, that we can help a lot of people out there, because there are a lot of people who want to play games but can't.
Yeah, and I think that's why I wanted you guys to talk before me, because who can say it better, right, than about the impact that this has had for you personally, but then also the community that it fosters, right, and the hope that it gives other people.
Oh, we are. We're all very competitive. We talk to us all the time.
Yeah, that's definitely true.
Yeah, we started our gaming program at Craig because I had one patient that it was important to him. One patient in the whole hospital. It was the thing he did the most in life, and then he sustained a spinal cord injury, lost the use of his fingers. It was right after Destiny came out, and right before there was an expansion to Warcraft that was coming. That might give you an idea of the time. And he said, well, if I can't do these things, I'm not really engaged in rehab. I'm not really interested in what you have to offer. If I can't get back online and play with my guild, it doesn't matter. And I said, oh, shoot. I don't know how to help you do this now, but let's work together and let's figure this out. And it takes, as a therapist, I think, you talked about therapists who are not engaged and are just do this thing 200 times, walk away. That's not what a therapist should be. Mm-hmm. What a therapist should be is someone who's willing to partner with that person, see what's important, look at the mechanics of the task, look at the abilities of the person, and find the right fit, right? And sometimes that fit is for access, just to help people game. And sometimes it's for rehab, to work on those mass practice repetitions it takes to regain function. And I think in the perfect world, it's a mixture of both, a little bit of a hybrid. Traditionally, it was really hard to do that before the Xbox adaptive controller. It was a lot of hacking things and putting things together and trying to leverage one device to make it work on another system, and what that looks for, or what that takes. And so that was the beauty of looking at the industry and seeing how it's starting to look at accessibility and see the value and the impact, and to start to design for that. Right. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, one of the things that really struck me as we started to move into this world was how many of the quad guards had built their own custom
Right.
rigs. You know, Jose's rig, you know, that
Yeah.
thing's amazing. He went to a mechanical shop and slammed down some plans and said, this is what I want built. And people were, before the Xbox adaptive controller, people were, you know, if they had means, they were running out and they were going and getting it done.
And I think that's great, but you know, I also think about those that didn't have the means.
Exactly.
Right? Who didn't have a friend who could hack into the guts of a controller and build something out. You know, not all gamers are intense, as competitive as some of these guys. Some of my gamers just want to play with their kids, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that you know, appealing to the whole community was important, and finding the right tools. Yeah.
Absolutely. And accessibility.
And accessibility. Yeah.
I always, with the work that we do in my lab, I mean, not a shout out or anything, but I always say all the tech has to pass the Amazon Prime rule. Can I click and get it in 2 days?
That's right.
Otherwise, why am I messing with it? It's never going to impact the amount of lives that we need it to impact.
Right.
1 in 5 people in the United States have a motor disability. Like, that's the scale that we're talking about. If I can only get one of these devices after I click and wait 4 weeks and pay $1,000, like, that's not going to drive change. But something like an adaptive controller that you can click on Amazon Prime, get it in 2 days, it's $100. You know, that's starting to get to the price point and starting to get to the level of accessibility that we need to really change some lives.
I think that's a huge, huge deal, especially in the world of assistive technology. A lot of these controllers, these things we used, which are quote unquote medical devices that are not covered by traditional insurance.
Yeah.
You know, that quad stick is like a $600 device, you know? That's harsh, you know, that's hard, you know?
Yeah, it definitely is.
So I think that's huge. Is it going to pass the Amazon test? I love that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm glad I was just able to get a chance to even have a shot to use that Xbox adaptive controller, because it made a big difference as far as, for me, my hands. I don't really have the power and to manipulate my hands like how I used to, or how anybody else would. So pressing the buttons are difficult for me. So with the joystick for the Microsoft adaptive controller, with it being so big and the buttons being like pressure sensitive, like I don't really need much force to press the button, so I could get the button to do exactly what I'm trying to get it to do in the first place. So it's almost, when I think about it, for anybody that watch movies out there like that, I'm a big Marvel fan. So it's almost like the movie Doctor Strange, if anybody saw it, where he had the accident, and you know that accident destroyed his hands. He was a surgeon, and he needed his hands for everything that he did. That was his living. So it's similar to what happened with me and my hands, where I did everything with my hands. I was such a physical person with my hands, but like once the injury happened and I can't use my hands as well as I used to, that was like devastating. So now to be able to get back to playing the game with that controller is almost like that surgeon getting a scalpel back. Like, that's similar, if you understand the analogy that I'm trying to say. So that controller, that Xbox adaptive controller is a big deal. Because imagine now if you were in a room full of your friends and you know everybody playing a game, having fun, and you just sitting off to the side because you can't play, because you can't be a part of what's happening. You know, it's like, it's defeating after a while. So with them to be able to have that controller, and now you can actually be a part of what's going on. You can actually be a part of the fun or the laughing, the giggling, everything that's happening. Like, you could really be in the middle of it. So to me, like I said, it's a big thing. It's a big thing. It's not just a physical thing. It's more important mentally than it is physically, actually, if you ask me. Because even if you might not even be able to be doing as well enough to actually win the game, it's just the fact that you was a part of the gameplay. And you know, that's a big thing for a lot of people.
So I'm sure we've probably got a ton of questions, and we're running low on time. Erin and Blake, is there anything you want to say before we open up to questions?
No, not really. I'm not.
No, I would just quickly make a plug too, not just the hardware accessibility, but the software accessibility is huge. So if anybody is out there in the game design world making games that are accessible, and there are some really great guidelines out there. If you have questions about them, come find me. That makes everything work better. Yeah.
I mean, and the only thing I want to finish up on is, as these guys have said, Chris is the reason that us three are up here. Erin would be here anyway because she's awesome, but Chris is the reason that the three of us are up here. And the thing that that is stuck in my brain is the last conversation I had with Chris. We had just finished a session. We were all together, and I walked him up from the lab to the parking lot where he was getting his accessibility. And this is a guy who, after his injury, really made no secret of the fact that he didn't want to live anymore. He was done. Before his injury, he was a skydiver. Being in a chair just wasn't the life he wanted. And the last thing he ever said just before he left was, he turned and he said, "Do you really think we can make it? Do you really think we can be a team?" And I was like, "You've proven it. You guys are all kick-ass. You're beating me. You guys are a team, and you're definitely good." And and he just told me, he said, "I'm so excited. I'm so excited for what comes next." And to hear that from someone who had been for the last 3 to 4 years telling anyone who would listen that he didn't want to be around, to hear that really struck me home with the power of what we can do with this. So I'm really excited for the future of the Quad Guards, really excited for the future of gaming, and thank you guys for being here and listening.
Well, I haven't streamed in like the last couple months, but because we've been doing this for but my gamer tag is the same as my streamer name, which is Repnproof, REPNPROOF.
Me personally, I'm not streaming right now at the time. I'm gonna be working on, I'm getting that done soon. But I believe the Quad Guards as a team altogether, trying to get that up and running.
End of November,
it should be out.
the latest.
It should be up and running soon.
Yeah.
And I'll throw out a plug. I've got a couple of guys back home. Mike the Quad is one of our streamers, mentors, who's pretty amazing. You should watch his stream. And then there's another guy that a lot of my patients follow called Rocky No Hands, which is he's worth a watch.
Yeah, definitely. The Quad Guards will definitely be up there streaming soon, so look out for it. Definitely.
Right.
Well, see, I went to school for game design, for Hostos Community College. So like we had to learn how to make games, and we had this guy we called the code breaker, because like we make a game, we give him the plate, and he would break the game. So then we'd have to go back and fix it to figure out what he did to it. So as like in a game, there's a set of rules and limitations, but within those rules and limitations, like any game, you can cheat. So like Call of Duty, for example, people think jumping up and down, I probably shouldn't be saying this because people are gonna start changing the way they play. People think jumping up and down is gonna, because, all right, the way the mind works is if you jump up, I'm gonna strife up to try to shoot you. Bad idea. If I'm still shooting forward and you jump up, you're gonna fall right back down. And the way Call of Duty works is whoever gets shot first, you're still gonna die first. So why am I gonna waste time trying to strife up and stop shooting instead of continuing my bullet stream, and then when you jump back down, you still die. So don't nobody take that now. But I feel like the only way people are going to change the way they game is when they come across a problem that they can't get around, because it'll force you to adapt. Whereas like when you're a gamer, you know, like I can run around. Like I watch the league play and I watch how they move. Like there's always one person going out there crazy, getting shot, getting killed. You know what I mean? But it just, but what makes the game interesting is when a team comes against another team who plays the same way, because now it forces both teams to change. So that to me is more interesting than watching a team dominate the other, because one team is just better at its teamwork. So when you come against a team that's just as good as you, that to me becomes more interesting, because then it becomes a chess match. It becomes who can outthink the other.
Any other questions? Yeah?
Yes. Hi. So full disclosure, this is a selfish question because I use VR therapy to treat my brain issue. Have you found that VR therapy is helpful in encouraging people to participate in occupational therapy? And do you have any stories about that?
So we started our program around the time that the commercial headsets were hitting the market, and we thought, you know, we better invest in this now because it's going to pay dividends. The thing I love about VR is that it's truly immersive, multi-sensory experience, right? So as OTs, I work with people with physical limitations, with cognitive limitations, or vision or perception. And guess what? VR does all those things. So yes, we are using it in a lot of different applications. We're actually trying to scale it through our hospital so that all disciplines and departments have access to these devices, and really start to look at how it fits in our traditional rehabs, how it can complement and enhance that. Yeah. Yeah.
And we, in addition to neuro rehab, Blake's been a client for this, but we also use VR for chronic neuropathic pain treatment as well, and we've been seeing some really promising results.
Anybody else?
Anything else?
Yeah.
All right. It's beers time. All right. Thank you very much.